Your happiness is not random. Four chemicals in your brain write every emotion you'll feel today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one is crashing your mood and how to fix it in under a minute. Most people think happiness is something that just happens to them, a lucky break, a good day, a random gift. But that belief is what keeps them stuck. Happiness is actually a chemical formula your brain has been running since before you were born. When you don't know the formula, one missing ingredient can crash your entire mood without you ever understanding why. You just feel empty or restless or heavy, and you have no explanation. The good news? There are only 4 happiness chemicals you need to understand, and I'm going to show you exactly which one you're missing right now and exactly what to do about it. You're about to meet the 4 molecules that write every emotion you've ever felt. Every laugh, every tear, every moment of peace or panic. It all comes down to just 4 molecules moving through your brain. The catch is that most people spend their entire lives trying to fix a chemical problem with willpower. They tell themselves to cheer up or think positive, which is like trying to start a car with no fuel. You can turn the key as hard as you want, but nothing is going to happen. Now imagine knowing the exact reason you felt empty yesterday and fixing it in 5 minutes. That's the power you're about to have. The 4 chemicals are dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins, and every happy memory you have is just these 4 molecules arranging themselves in different patterns inside your skull. Let's start with the one you've definitely heard of, dopamine. Most people call it the pleasure chemical, but that label is dangerously incomplete. Dopamine does not make you feel good, it makes you want. It is the molecule of desire, anticipation, and motivation. And if you don't understand the difference between wanting and liking, dopamine will leave you feeling miserable even when you get exactly what you thought you wanted. Here's how it works. The moment you set a goal, even a tiny one, your brain releases a pulse of dopamine that carries the signal saying, "Go get that thing." As you make progress, more pulses push you forward. When you achieve it, you get a final rewarding surge. The entire system is designed to keep you moving and striving. But here's the modern trap. When you chase cheap, effortless hits, social media scrolling, junk food, constant novelty, your brain adapts by downregulating its baseline dopamine. Suddenly, the things that used to feel good, a walk outside, a real conversation, finishing a book, feel gray and boring. Think about the last time you scrolled for an hour and felt worse afterwards. That wasn't a character flaw. That was a dopamine crash you didn't see coming. So, rule 1, dopamine needs something real to chase. A project, a skill, a meaningful goal. If you have nothing you're working toward, your brain literally withholds your ability to feel pleasure. It's not punishing you. It's just waiting for a real reason to release the fuel. But there's a chemical even more connected to long-term stable happiness, and it's the one modern life has pushed to dangerously low levels. Serotonin doesn't come from pleasure. It comes from feeling respected, valued, and genuinely significant. It is the chemical of status and belonging, and its absence is why you can have a successful career, a nice apartment, and thousands of followers, and still wake up feeling like an invisible ghost. Serotonin explains why social rejection, being ignored, dismissed, or left out, feels physically painful. Your brain processes it the same way it processes a broken bone. That's not a metaphor. Here's the hidden danger. Unlike dopamine, you absolutely cannot get meaningful serotonin from a screen. Not from likes, not from passive consumption. You have to earn it through real-world competence, face-to-face connection, and genuine recognition. And modern life has systematically stripped away the very things that used to give us that sense of earned significance. We've replaced community with feeds and craftsmanship with clicks. This is why loneliness feels like an actual wound. Your brain is screaming for a chemical it cannot produce alone. That feeling of quiet pride after you helped someone who really needed you, or the calm, settled confidence after you mastered a skill, that's serotonin. If you're not building it daily through real contribution, happiness will always feel just out of reach. Next is your brain's built-in morphine, Endorphins. They're released in response to pain and stress, and they're the reason a runner's high, a deep laugh, or even a scary movie can leave you feeling strangely euphoric. But there's a critical catch most people miss. If you try to trigger endorphins without the physical discomfort through substances or shortcuts, your brain down-regulates its natural production. You become dependent, and your capacity to feel natural joy from exercise or laughter steadily shrinks. The hardest truth about endorphins is that you have to earn them. A cold shower that makes your skin gasp, an intense workout that burns your muscles, even a belly laugh so hard it hurts. These are the keys. But that's also why endorphins are so beautifully reliable. You don't need anyone else, and you don't need anything artificial. You just need to move your body until it is slightly, safely uncomfortable. So rule 3, mild physical stress, a brisk run, a freezing rinse, deep laughter, gives you a flood of the most powerful antidepressant your body makes, with 0 side effects. And unlike a pill, it leaves you stronger every time you use it. Then there's the chemical that literally made us human. Oxytocin is the bonding molecule, released during touch, trust, and genuine social connection. It is the reason a long hug from someone you love can dissolve hours of stress in seconds. But here's what's terrifying. You can have dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins all perfectly dialed in, and if oxytocin is missing, you'll still feel devastatingly alone in a crowded room. The modern trap is cruel because we've replaced high-quality human presence with text messages and emojis. Your brain does not release oxytocin from a screen. And over time, an oxytocin deficit mimics clinical depression so closely, the flatness, the isolation, the emotional numbness, that thousands of people are misdiagnosed. That ache you feel when you haven't hugged anyone in weeks? That is not weakness. That is your brain starving for a signal that says you are safe, you belong, you are not alone. So rule 4 is non-negotiable. Deep, uninterrupted connection, a long hug where you actually breathe, sustained eye contact, a real conversation with no phones in sight is not a luxury. It is a biological requirement for a happy brain. But what about sadness? What about that heavy, restless, everything is wrong feeling that descends for no reason? There's one chemical that can overpower all 4 happy chemicals combined, and it's the reason you can have a perfect life and still wake up drowning in dread at 3 in the morning. We're confronting the stress hormone, cortisol, the true villain of mood. Cortisol evolved to save your life from immediate physical threats. It floods your system to give you energy to run or fight, and then it fades. But now your brain releases that exact same chemical for emails, arguments, and news headlines from countries you'll never visit. Chronic high cortisol doesn't just make you stressed, it literally shrinks the brain regions responsible for producing serotonin and dopamine. It hijacks your mood like a burglar cutting the power to your house. The gut punch realization is that your sadness might not be a lack of happiness at all. It might be a relentless flood of a survival chemical you cannot turn off because your brain has mistaken modern life for a constant emergency. So the single most powerful move for your mood isn't chasing pleasure, it is lowering cortisol through deep restorative sleep, time in nature, and consciously lowering the stakes on things that are not life-threatening. You have to teach your ancient brain that an unread email is not a saber-toothed tiger. So now you've met all the players, and by now you might realize you've been trying to solve a serotonin problem with cheap dopamine or an oxytocin problem with endorphins, which is like putting the wrong key in a lock and blaming yourself when the door won't open. Let's assemble the daily formula you can use starting tomorrow morning. If you ignore this, you'll keep cycling through the same emotional lows, trying harder instead of trying smarter, and blaming your personality for a chemical pattern. The power here is almost unfair. Once you know which chemical is low, you know exactly what action to take. No guesswork, no self-help fluff. So here's your grand payoff. Dopamine, set a small, meaningful goal and accomplish it before noon. Serotonin, do something that earns respect or gives someone genuine recognition. Endorphins, move your body until it is slightly uncomfortable. Oxytocin, give or receive a real, sustained hug. Cortisol,
lower the stakes, step into green nature, and protect your sleep like your life depends on it. You now have a mood control panel. Use it. Now, we've talked about how brain chemicals create happiness and sadness, but when those systems get thrown completely out of balance, they create full-blown mental disorders that feel completely different from normal sadness or worry. Most people don't know what these conditions actually feel like from the inside until they experience them or watch someone they love disappear into them. So check out this video right here, where we walk you through exactly what every major mental disorder feels like, so you can understand what someone you love, or even you, might be going through. Tap that now.